Yes, it is the home of best ball in Europe, and tonight we are drafting in the Draftkings $100 contest, free max. It feels quite slowly at times, but tonight we are going to get it full. I've been working with Discords. This is Fantasy Sanctuary Best Ball Show. Let's go. Yep. So those of you who've been trying to get into this contest, I know I've been speaking to plenty of you. It doesn't fill that quick all the time. Let's hop in. Let's get going, and we will wait for more people to join us. Sitting on 7 of 12. That feels like an okay number. I know speaking to a few people in Discords today, they were planning on jumping in. For anyone not familiar with this contest, there is 100K to first. It is a 23-person final, which is nice. Otherwise, everything is very similar. Round one is your usual 12 teams. Round 2 and round 3 are both 8 teams. So definitely a little easier to advance in some ways than some of these normal lotteries. We're up to 10 already. I see a few familiar names in here. We should be full in not too long. Let me just throw the link out on Twitter whilst we do that. Appreciate everybody hanging out in the chat tonight. What a month we are having over here on the Fantasy Sanctuary. Just got finished recording with JJ Zacharyson for a redraft piece that will go out tomorrow. 4's John Paulson put his 3 favorite players out at the weekend on our channel. Love that. All right, let's see if we can drum up those final couple of spaces. Where are we at? We got Sam in here. I know there's definitely at least one other person who's in a lot of our drafts. Adam, ADS 827. It's going to feel nice to draft in a room where Tim Patrick isn't being taken in the 3rd round after yesterday's kind of craziness playing in the $3 streets. I haven't really jumped into any of these $100 drafts on DraftKings yet, but this felt like a good time to do it. Spend those crowns. Next Wednesday will be our last DraftKings dedicated stream of the season. The following Sunday, we might have a little something, a bit of a best ball party to round out best ball season as we get ready for week 1. But next week, we'll have Eric Bienfor on the channel. Eric was the first guest when we jumped into the DK streets way back. And be good to round it out, see how we feel about things that have changed since then. Let me see if we can drum up some more interest. We'll give it a couple of minutes, and if not, then we'll certainly dive into a couple of topics whilst we wait. If you have done a few of these already and you're in the chat with us, do let me know. I'd like to know how you feel like these contests have been. If you feel like, I think there's a common perception from a lot of people that the moment you go up in stakes, things get sharper. And I would push back on that. I think that there's definitely plenty of sharp people who draft within the higher stakes, the medium stakes, but there's also plenty of sharp people in the smaller stakes as well. I've drafted in the FFPC $350 Fantasy Pros Championship this recently, and some of the stuff you saw going on in there, it definitely wasn't sharp. So by all means, it's definitely not a case that just because people have bigger budget that they're going to be able to do it. 2 seconds. So yeah, so I chucked all my crowns at this one. If you've been, what would you have done? Let me know in the chat. Would you have gone with the $100 draft, or would you have gone with 5 $20 drafts? One more to fill. My gold. JM saying I've drafted 300 plus teams on DK this summer. The stakes really aren't an indication of the sharpness and all. Now, I mean, I think if you look at the $3 contests, there it's kind of quite noticeable how there's some crazy stuff that goes on. Like $3 is throwaway money. Exactly. That's the one to go for. Like, let's live a little. And we are in. Oh, Rory will be disappointed that I don't have a 101, picking at the 110. This should be interesting. I've kind of found recently that I don't mind too many spots. I don't even mind picking on the turn. I think with the Puka and Jahmyr Gibbs news that we've had, it's thrown things a little bit enough that we're seeing some different ADP. We're seeing some different players fall to those points. So it's been quite fun. Yeah, you can spot the $3 sharp drafters very quickly. And it is normally a bit of a relief when you end up in drafts with at least a couple of them because they're going to respect the room. They're not going to do stuff out of spite or stupidity just to try and mess with you. I mean, sometimes that happens. We've all seen screenshots on Twitter of people ruining Bears stacks and stuff like that just for shits and giggles. But this should be a fun one. Who've we got in here? I know Adam at the 2 spot, Nasty Pasty at the 8 spot. Who else we got? I know there was a few people planning on joining us. If you were in, we got Maz on Twitter saying that he's picking first. Updog missed it. Said he was going to join. Just missed out. Got to subscribe to the channel and put the notifications on. Don't want to miss stuff like this. Yes, like I mentioned at the top, loads of redraft content on the site at the minute. Well worth your time. Lots of really short stuff as well. Try to give people quick, actionable advice. We've got a few really good guests lined up over the next week or so. One with JJ Zacharyson, late round QB himself, will be out maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after. We've got Andrew Erickson from Fantasy Pros, who I host the weekly Rises and Fallers podcast with over there. And then next week, we've got Pete Overzet for his 3 favorite draft picks. So pulling Pete out of the Best Ball streets as he's been doing these redraft leagues. So be good to see. I know, man. Sorry, I assumed you knew where we'd be and when we'd be on. Christian McCaffrey goes at 101, so nothing too funky so far. How far are you guys seen CD Lamb? I got CD Lamb at the 105 yesterday. Brees Hall goes at the 103. That's one thing I would say is slightly more common as you go up in stakes. I'm seeing people who are willing to push the running backs up higher, and I don't disagree with it necessarily. I mean, if you haven't done much in the way of redraft yet, like go and do some mock drafts on sites where you get the not against other people, but where you've got the artificial intelligence mocking against you, because the ADP on some of these sites, the running backs, like I think it was ESPN or Yahoo, both Saquon Barkley and Jonathan Taylor are in the first round. 107 for Rich CD Lamb yesterday. I believe it was coming out today. We finished recording it and it went up last night, but I think it was being released today. We had to push back slightly this week. So I was kind of hoping that Bijan Robinson might fall to me, but clearly that was a bit of copium on my part. Justin Jefferson goes at the 7th spot. I'm not sure why Jamar Chase is falling. I'd be completely happy taking him as high as like 3. AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua, Marvin Harrison, all kind of next in my rankings. If we look at ADP, you can see Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor just fringing on to round 1 here. I don't really want to take Garrett Wilson. I think I feel like Puka Nacua is the more fun offense. Let's get you guys season. Go video it. I'm not drafting players who I don't want to tonight. Last week, you guys pushed me into stuff and ended up taking players like Deshaun Watson, who I didn't want. Maybe Puka Nacua ahead of Garrett Wilson is a little feisty, but, I just feel more. I think the Rams offense is going to be more fun. I think they're going to play at a faster rate than the Jets will. And Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua straight up. Maybe Garrett Wilson is the smarter bet, but I think he's going to. Well, there we go. CJ Stroud at the 112. That was Yeah, that one sidetracked me. Um, yeah, JM saying Chase dropping because of contract fact he hasn't practiced all summer and plummeting in drafts. Absolutely, and I think it's completely understandable when you look at it through that lens. I mean, Debo Samuel had a really acrimonious contract situation a couple of years back and said when he got back to practice, he felt sluggish. It took him a while to get up to speed. So I think there's definitely a point where if we don't see him the next couple of days, these contract extensions for Ayuk, for Chase, for CD Lamb, then you can start to worry slightly. Well, let's take the week 17 correlation of Marvin Harrison. Or should we take Drake London? What are you saying, chat? 15 seconds. Tell me where we're going. Like, Drake London has been my guy all off season. Marvin Harrison, what are we doing? Let's go, Drake London. There's a video that Pete Overzet's putting together at the minute, and he asked people for their thermonuclear hot takes. I said that I think that there's definitely a world where Drake London can finish as the wide receiver one. When you look at what he got in Kirk Cousins, the fourth most accurate quarterback over the last 10 years, it's absolutely in play. I think that if you gave Drake London a 25% target share with Kirk Cousins completing 25 passes a game, you're talking 100 receptions easily. And then he just needs the touchdowns. So, yeah, I thought about the double and it was definitely in play. I'm a little nervous that Cooper Cup and Puka Nacua both can't hit their ceiling. I think one of them can pay off, and I think that one of them will have a very good season, but I don't think they're necessarily going to hit their ceiling. And with Cup sitting there where he is, pushing him up to this point, I'm just not quite ready to do it. Appreciate all the weighing on the chat. It seems like the chat was pretty divided on that one. Yeah, I appreciate that, but it's also I think that there's going to be plenty of upside on this one, and we can definitely still look to whether we want McBride as to bring back the Nakua as well. Anyway, yeah, Ryan saying no, but taking the get your guy season a bit too far there. Stroud at 12, boys. These are the people we play against on Sundays. Absolutely, man. I can't wait for DFS season to be back. JM saying for my 3 entries in this contest, I had 3 different structures: 2693, 3683, and 3593. Hertz double, Mahomes triple, and a Richardson team. I absolutely love that. I think in these 3 maxes, that's something I try to do a lot of the time. It's trying to really find different structures, different ways to attack it, and just saying, okay, there's no point playing safe. I'm going to do things that I might not usually do. I'm going to push towards different roster construction, see how it works out, and maybe that helps me advance more. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't too long ago I tweeted out that however many Puka and Cup doubles I finish the offseason with, I don't think it'll be enough. But now that Cup's kind of priced up to this point, I just don't feel as good about it. Hey, Steph, appreciate you hanging out. Hit the like button whilst you're here, people. Really appreciate how much people have been hitting the like button and commenting this month. We're on track for easily our biggest month ever across likes, comments, views, subscribers, and it is all thanks to you good people. Yeah, as Sam's saying, only 23-man final, week 17, not as important, surely. So, yeah, I'm not as bothered about massive stacks. I'm not as bothered about huge amounts of correlation. It's get your guy season for me. I want the guys who I feel like give me the best chance at the best possible outcomes. Daniel's asking, what's your take on really opening it up on the 11-12 picks? For what it's worth, I get real weird from the 11-12 and try stuff out. Yeah, there's an element of draft fatigue there. I think everybody's had so many 11 and 12 picks by this point in the offseason. You don't really want to hit the kind of like the Jahmyr Gibbs and Garrett Wilson, the Marvin Harrison, Garrett Wilson anymore. It becomes very much like a little monotonous, but at the same time, last year it was CeeDee Lamb and Amon-Ra St. Brown, wasn't it? And that turned out to be the nuts. So there's an element of I want to make sure I have good levels of exposure to the combinations from that spot, because really, I mean, you're talking about a combination of 6 players that can come up quite often. Not these two, but six 6 players within this sort of 10 or so that you could get. And so if I can mix in stuff, if I can scoop the value that's fallen, I'm good with that. But then, yeah, if I can pull players up like Debo Samuel to return and pair him with Jameer Gibbs, I like that. I like because there's definitely been a time where you could get Brandon Ayuk on the other turn. Chris Olave, I've taken at the turn with Garrett Wilson. I've taken him also paired with Drake London because I think very few people are going to have a Drake London and Chris Olave team. He was falling last week, but seems to have stopped now. Mike Evans, 8 picks past ADP, scooped just before us. Let's take Isaiah Pacheco. I don't have much Isaiah Pacheco, and I think as Rashee Rice gets pushed up, Xavier Worthy's getting pushed up. I think that Isaiah Pacheco is looking like a sneaky good value. There's all this Carson Steele, generic Prince, as Tyler called him, and CEH talk, and maybe it just leads to Pacheco having a monster season. My new favorite build at the 11-12 is 2 QB, 2 tight end, just to be different and try and add that extra skill position or two. Yeah, I love that. I think I've built less 2 QB, 2 tight end builds this year in general. Still not sure how I really feel about them on DraftKings, full stop. But there's definitely certain positions of the draft boards where I'm much more likely to do it. So let's see what CJ Stroud, Derrick Henry drafted does, wherever he goes. Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, or pulls Tank Dell. Oh, he's got Stefan Diggs. This has got to be Zay Flowers or Mark Andrews. Unless he just really pushes in on the Texans. Wow. Etienne's 8 picks past ADP, but I'm not much of an Etienne guy, and in this draft, it just doesn't feel like something I can do. I like Tank Dell. I like Josh Allen. Get your guy season, though. It rolls on with Zay Flowers. Let's build that out. And if I hadn't have gone running back in the 3rd round, I think I would have taken Travis Etienne there, even though I'm not massively a big fan of him. So, yeah. I mean, it's a great day to just burn $100 on Derrick Henry, Stefan Diggs, Jalen Hurts, and CJ Stroud through 4 picks. I could have understood that if Devonta Smith had been one of the picks, or it's just a very confusing one. I don't understand where this draft is going. They're also taking an awful lot of time on the clock, so I don't quite know what the thinking is there. But imagine rolling into the draft, and if you were that bothered about having Jalen Hurts and taking Jalen Hurts in the 4th round, 4 rounds after you took CJ Stroud. Yeah, these drafts are soft at the weekend. I tend not to do as much of my drafting at the weekend as I used to, but there's no denying that, like, hopping in the drafts on a Saturday or a Sunday, really plus EV at times. Sometimes with the 8-hour time difference from the West Coast to over here in the home of best ball in Europe, I quite like to get up, make the kids breakfast, get them settled, and then jump in a draft and find some of the drunks. AJ Dillon going at 144. That's a choice. Yeah, Daniel mentioning all the data and stuff. What I need to do is put together one concise sheet which I can put out for people. It was a bit of a struggle to get everything done with that this year. There's so much that goes into it because for the final last year there were 1,364 teams. You have to separate them from the DK formatting, which is just like one cell with all 20 players in. Then you have to marry them up with a form of ADP. You have to marry them up with their teams and stuff like that. And then to get them into a situation where you can start interpreting into what it means for best ball. Honestly, it's so many columns that I have it split across 8 different spreadsheets. And what I need to do is learn to code. and I'm sure it would be much easier to do it in that scenario. But I will try and put something together, whether it's a PDF or whether it's just a spreadsheet or something, and I'll distribute that maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow should be a bit of a quieter day than usual. Um, I'm s- I'm in Newcastle or close to Newcastle anyway. I don't have an EPL club. I used to support Preston, who were in the Championship. I grew up on the other side of England, and they were my local team, kind of close to Liverpool, Manchester, that way. Used to be a season ticket holder. Loved it. I mean, for me, the game was kind of ruined by VAR. It was kind of ruined by money. It's kind of ruined by multiple seasons of Preston getting to the playoffs and then absolutely bottling it. So yeah, these days I just find it, with the amount of content that working through these days, as well as having a day job, for me, I'm just a one sport person. It helps that the NFL is on in the evening for me, as like my kids are kind of winding down for the day. It helps that I can normally watch the games from the night before I go to work in the morning. So yeah, staring down some pretty miserable situations here. George Pickens is not one of my guys. Joe Mixon is not one of my guys, but he gives us the week 16 and 17 correlation. So let's shuffle him in there. I don't hate that. It's reassuring that at least he seems to be practicing today. I see you guys in the chat, and I'm definitely there. I think that it's coming. Tangerine in here, man. Like Preston and Blackpool had some epic games back in the day. My favorite, no offense, Sam, was Burnley. I went to Preston Burnley so many times that it was always a great time. But nowadays, yeah, it's just like I can't spend as much time as I am putting content together as well as holding a day job and try to keep on top of football without ending up with my wife and kids moving out. So we'll see. I did weigh this in. I was trying to decide whether I was really desperate for Worthy, but I also thought that what the draft at the 11 spot was doing, they might pass on Worthy there too. So we'll see it. There he goes. Worthy did go, but that's okay because in this range, there's still plenty of players I like. Keenan Allen, I'm not going to take him yet because I think that we're going to get a dip on him. Instead, it's another one of my guys, and it is Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin is going to be a monster this year. The fact that books are actively talking about putting him in the slot more. He only played 37% of his snaps there last year. That was like a career low for him, or at least the lowest since his rookie season. Chris Godwin feasts in the slot. You look back at the red zone targets, him and Mike Evans had, I think it was identical red zone targets last year, but Mike Evans scored more of his than Chris Godwin, and variants like that. I think I'm kind of fine betting on it to even out over the course of time. Of course, JM just pissing on my chips, saying I think Tampa Bay could be a tie now. Canales is gone. Yeah, I mean, seeing a step back in offensive efficiency, that kind of is something that I'm prepared for. But I think that in those situations, I'm more comfortable taking the player who plays near the line of scrimmage in Chris Godwin than Mike Evans. Of course, last year I also said that I thought that Chris Godwin might be a better fit for Baker Mayfield. So maybe it doesn't work out for me, but we're drafting with good vibes here. I like this team through 6 rounds. Puka Nacua, Drake London, Isaiah Pacheco, Zay Flowers, Joe Mixon, Chris Godwin. The team on the turn, it should be mentioned, did take David Njoku in the 6th round at 601, which is a tad early, some might say. Yeah, I'm good with it. I think that yes, the Bucks offense, it can change and it can possibly change in ways that aren't particularly good, but the offensive line is going to be better in Tampa this year, and that can be a big part of things, keeping Mayfield calm. You know, the last thing you want is Baker Mayfield flapping around, rolling out to his right, and in the words of Pat Doherty, throwing an interception with the most confidence anyone has ever thrown an interception. Yeah, I mean, so it's also that kind of thing of Chris Godwin just comes so much cheaper than Mike Evans. So where'd Mike Evans go? Mike Evans slipped in this one to the 309. Chris Godwin at the 603. Yes, last year Mike Evans was hands down the player you wanted out of the two, but I don't think the gap is going to be that big every year. That game, for what it's worth, I was in the pub after playing football for my university team, or maybe it was Sunday league team. I can't quite remember now. Definitely have been playing football that day, and at 4-0 down, I remember somebody saying, I wonder if Newcastle could come back here. They're starting to look feisty, and it was easily one of the greatest things I've ever seen in a live game. Jaden Reed goes off board at 706. I was kind of hoping JSN might make it back to us. He definitely qualifies as one of my guys this year. I mean, if you think that higher stakes equals sharper teams, go and look at the video of the draft that the Barstool guys did in the 10K draft. Like, I mean, hey, I'd love to have a budget like that I could not worry about things and draft a team that looked that terrible. But here we are in the $100 draft, spending our crowns. 2 running backs, 4 wide receivers. This wide receiver range in the draft is miserable. Normally, I would be pulling up another wide receiver here, I think, but I'm just not ready to do it. Instead, looking at the running backs, ugh, everything's awful. Let's take Hollywood Brown then. I didn't want to do that, but he gives us that week 17 correlation. And like, if I can get those small ones, bet on Isaiah Pacheco and Hollywood, even without Mahomes, I feel like it's kind of fine. It's definitely that's first pick in this draft, which I've not been happy with. It crossed my mind, but look, the thumbnail, it states clearly, get your guy season, and we can't ever talk about Najee being my guy. I feel pretty good about Nuke now. I think that for me, I didn't expect him to fall as far as he did. This always felt in the range of outcomes, and now I've been scooping more of him. Whereas previous, fuck, what is going on here? Joe Burrow goes to the team at the 12 spot. So now they have CJ Stroud, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, elite super flex team. That one. Going back to Rich's point, yeah, I'm not taking him as much as I was. Like he was a 20% player for me. So now if I can kind of ease back to 15%, but still keep taking him and mixing him in with these late teams that I'm drafting, I'd be pretty pleased with that. Demarcus Robinson, why the fuck not? Like, yep. Demarcus Robinson is your wide receiver 2. I regret everything I said about this draft. Jalen Warren, look, it's a slight reach at 12 picks ahead of ADP, but it gives us the Ravens correlation week 16, the Chiefs correlation week 17, and of course, 26%. Like, I wasn't leaving this draft without Jalen Warren. Hell no. So, yeah, it is putting us in an interesting spot now because normally, if I saw a team have a couple of quarterbacks by this point, like this team here with Jordan Love and Pat Mahomes, I'd be tempted to push quarterbacks around the corner here. But now that we've got somebody clearly tripping balls on acid at the 12 spot, I'm not really going to want to push too much around them now. We see Dak Prescott go off the board unstacked to the team out of a 107. Jaden Daniels going unstacked to the team out of a 105. Kyler Murray was unstacked on that team as well. Like, there's a lot of quarterback picks that I wouldn't have done here. So it's get your guys time. Like, yeah, you should have been. You absolutely should have been safe to get that one. Like, it's just Yeah, I mean, who wants to win 100 grand anyway? We're just here for the likes, we're here for the subscribes, and we're here for the good times. Let's just concentrate on Team 12. I don't even want to talk about my team. CJ Stroud, Derrick Henry, Stephon Diggs, Jalen Hurts, David Montgomery, David Njoku, Joe Burrow, and Demarcus Robinson, the man who will run all those free wide receiver sets for the Rams, who would have been somebody I considered later. But now he belongs to Noah J. Bird. Noah J. Bird, I hope you're having a great day, sir. I'm sure this is good content for you to sit and watch everybody tilt. I think this point is fair for the most. I mean, like, you guys know me, I'm going to try and stack every single quarterback every single time. Like, even down to my third quarterback, I think that Mike Leone's Best Ball Manifesto showed enough data in there that it's something we should be trying to do. But yeah, I don't always think you have to reach. I think that it's finding the balance of what's the right level of reaching for each roster. So in terms of this team, I've still got plenty of outs. Like, you know, there's plenty of quarterbacks that are going to give me stacks and let things happen. Yes, Daniel. Right. Where is Team 12 going when it gets to him? Anybody who gets it right in the chat, I'll PayPal you over $20 for an entry into the Millie Maker if you can guess let's say the first, if you get one guess, and if that player goes in the two tip picks at the turn, then I will send you a Millie Maker entry. Brian Robinson, smash, get your guy, 26%, plays Atlanta in week 17. Like, I'm still getting the guys I like. And through 9 rounds now, I have 5 wide receivers and 4 running backs. Those running backs, 2 of them have a week 14 bye. The other 2 are on a week 9 and 6 bye. So there's definitely potential that I don't need to go too heavy on the running back position as we go. As guesses coming in, Taysom Hill, Bo Nix, Mostert. He's ended up with 5 QBs. Jalen Tolbert, Yoshevich, Brock Purdy. Where are we going? Come on, Team 12. It's going to let that clock run down again. I'm going to say he's going to take Baker Mayfield. Curtis Samuel, the man knows ball. No Curtis Samuel guesses there. Let's see if anyone gets in on the second. He's got no fan, Trevor Lawrence. Austin Eckler, the guy does not know ball. So looking at my quarterback options, I've got about 25 picks before this range of 3 quarterbacks starts really coming into play. With Brock Purdy, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff all ahead of me, I'm completely fine pushing that now, knowing I'm probably going to lose one, if not more of them. Tight end, I like Dallas Goedert. I should probably have more Dallas Goedert. But we could take Dalton Schultz for week 17. I think Dallas Goedert's probably the better pick over Dalton Schultz there. PFF's Nathan Yankee, the preseason GOAT, noted that Brevin Jordan was mixing in a good amount with Dalton Schultz in this week's preseason game and in the first preseason game. And if that continues, it's probably going to be just enough to take off some value from Dalton Schultz. An auto way too reasonable. These must have been auto picks who were near ADP. Like, maybe this guy like woke up, had a few afternoon beers, woke up, and he's just now trying to recover what's happening, but he never went on auto pick. We appreciate you, Rory, one of our very best YouTube members. And if you want to be like Rory, hit the button down below, join our channel, get 40% off all Spike Week products, get my best ball rankings, redraft rankings, Rich's weekly rankings. I'll be doing weekly rankings as well this year. You can sit and try and work out whose rankings to trust each week, mine or Rich's, as well as the DFS write-up, which will go out every Thursday, the weekly matchups video, the DFS members only stream. It's a good time to join. Less than the price of a Big Mac, and you can get all that content as well as access to our Discord. Oh, that's nice. That's something I wasn't aware of, but that's okay. Dallas got it for me as a free tight end build anyway, unless you've got, say, one of the guys really at the top. Like if I've got Kelsey, Laporta, maybe Andrews, then I'd consider Dallas Goedert as a second tight end and capping it there. But generally speaking, I'm more tight end is the one which I'm building free of more often than quarterback if I'm going to ease off one position. Daniels, if I'm not going in Njoku or Bowers, the rare Andrew stack, I wait for T till Fryer. Yeah, Fryer move for me is one I struggle with. I think like Russell Wilson struggles to see the middle of the field so much, and it feels like schematically Alpha Smith's really going to try and make it work. But it's a difficult one, and there's already talk in preseason that Frymove's coming off the field for when they run 2 tight end sets. And of course, part of that is because they want the big bastards out there to block. And if he's not on the field for 2 tight end sets, it's going to make life a little trickier for him. Yeah, that's the thing with Dallas Goedert. He's going to get banged up at times, but when he's out there, I mean, I think that maybe we could see more screens from Kellen Moore than we did see last year under the offense. Appreciate you, Cam. Best money fiver I spend every month. Fantastic content. I mean, yeah, we're very pleased with what we've built over the last few years. Very pleased with the awesome community we've got. Where else do you find a fantasy football Discord with a Bluey channel? One pick away. Mike Williams goes off the board. I will take Matthew Stafford here to stack with Puka Nacua. And then as it comes back around the corner, I might be tempted to take Baker Mayfield. Let's see what this guy does. Most importantly, the guy with the 3-3-3-1 build heading into round 11 and 12 selections. Stephon Diggs, Demarcus Robinson, Curtis Samuel as his 3 wide receivers. I mean, this clock is winding down every time. Nick Chubb. What year is this guy drafting a team for? We need to take some, we got to wind back the clock on this. Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, David Montgomery. This is somebody definitely of the boomer generation. Demarcus Robinson, been around a long time. Curtis Samuel, been around a long time. CJ Stroud, though. Yeah. Winding the clock down again. I don't know what this guy's doing if they're just setting star in place. Tyler Lockett at ADP. Pretty normal pick. So let's lock in Baker Mayfield as the QB2. I don't think he'll come back around to us 8 picks away. The Mike Evans draft there, they have Josh Allen, but they don't have a second quarterback yet. So I don't feel like I want to push it on this instance. So through 12 rounds, let's have a quick recap. Puka Nacua, Drake London, Isaiah Pacheco, Zay Flowers, Joe Mixon, Chris Godwin, Hollywood Brown, Jalen Warren, Brian Robinson, Dallas Goedert, Matthew Stafford, and Baker Mayfield. Week 17 correlation, we've got the Chiefs against Steelers, 3 players from that one. We've got Atlanta against Washington, and then we've got the Ravens against the Texans. So going nicely. Don't feel like anything's pushing me in one way or another over the next few selections. With these running backs, I'd like to mix in maybe 1 or 2 rookie running backs in that sort of 140 to 170 range where we see a lot of interesting targets go off the board. At tight end, I don't want to end up in the really late section where things get pretty miserable pretty fast. So another tight end by round 16, ideally. We'll see what falls to us. Elsewhere in the draft, let's have a look at some of these other teams. So we got Adam at the 102, CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, Devonta Smith, Lamar, Mark Andrews. I mean, of course I'm going to like that. Week 17 correlation throughout the first 5 picks. Roma Dunze, Keon Coleman, and then in this kind of style that Pat Crane keeps talking about, started with that 0 RB approach through the first 7 rounds, and then hit a hyper fragile build of 4 running backs after there. Ramondre, Javonte, Jonathan Brooks, Gus Edwards, and then adding Justin Herbert in. I mean, Justin Herbert, if he hits, if he's efficient, if this offensive line is as good as it can be, then I think there's a very realistic chance he outplays ADP, and I've been drafting more Justin Herbert over the last week because of that. Yeah, Baker, he wasn't coming back. Look, since the pick, Deshaun Watson, Justin Herbert, Geno's like my fallback option. Like if I haven't got Geno as my QB2, I start getting twitchy. I really don't enjoy the late round quarterbacks as much as some people do. I'm drafting a lot of super flex teams with Colin Kelly of Rotoviz, and we've been slow drafting them. And every single one, we argue about it. And it's great because me and Colin get along very well. We've drafted a lot of teams, so we know where we can push things with each other. But we disagree so fundamentally on how to approach the quarterback position this year. And every time he pushes me towards a Justin Fields, Bo Nix for our QB2 or QB3, he's enjoying it, but I'm not. But anytime I can force him to take a quarterback early, it's a good time. So, yeah, we've got 2 picks before us. Aaron Rodgers goes. It wasn't somebody I would have considered without any kind of stack. Justin Fields with Jalen Warren would be stacked, but I'm not taking Justin Fields, particularly not this early. We could take Darnell Mooney for a bit more Falcons correlation. I think there's very little there that's going to stop him from being good. Taysom Hill, though, 18 picks past ADP. We'll take that. I think that makes lots of sense. See what comes around the corner. But there's a couple of options I like here. Taysom Hill, the way they seem to be using him, and the fact that Dennis Allen only likes one person on the entire Saints offense, and it is Taysom Hill, it just feels like he can be a bit of a cheat code again this year, as long as he doesn't get injured. I mean, I think Taysom Hill's about 40 years old, isn't he? I think you did well, Adam. It's a nice team so far. TJ Hawkinson goes to the team at the 12 spot. Feels on brand. Let's see where they're going next with it. What have we got? We've got Josh Downs, maybe an injured player. Maybe how about let's go down. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Josh Downs. No, we're gonna run the clock down. This guy getting his money's worth out of this draft. Darnell Mooney, fair pick, round about ADP. And, as your wide receiver 5 in round 14, you are going to need that play. So, yeah, Rory in the chat mentioning Rashad Bateman, K. Dotton, which would give me the Buck stack as well for the tight end. Jaleel McLaughlin goes off the board. I'm going to lean K. Dotton. Like, man, I really want Rashad Bateman, but that's my ranking at 154. Maybe he comes back to me at 173 as ADP. I would not blame Adam at all for taking him to double stack with Lamar and Mark Andrews. So now, completely done at tight end. We can just concentrate on wide receiver. I think this is going to end up being a 2 quarterback build. It felt like I could just push out, and I know that I said I didn't really want to push much around this corner, but K. Dotton was the kind of player that if he didn't come back to me, I was all right with that. Like, K. Dotton's going to run an awful lot of routes. He's going to play an awful lot of snaps, but it's going to be weeks where he just doesn't give you an awful lot, I think. JM saying I have 9 running backs at 20+% in the milli. Ray Davis, Chandler, Braylon Allen, Chubbs, Gibson, Estime, Shipley, Corium, and Irving. I have almost 0% of all RBs from Etienne through Swift. I mean, yeah, people keep saying the dead zone doesn't exist anymore, but like it absolutely does. Like, let's look at this one tonight. Etienne, the team keep talking about how much they want Tank Bigsby involved. Josh Jacobs, if it wasn't for Marshawn Lloyd injury, I think he'd be going later. James Cook, if Ray Davis gets the goal line work like Latavius Murray did last year, then he's in trouble. Joe Mixon, I mean, he's barely been healthy all off season. David Montgomery, if Jahmyr Gibbs breaks out, then yeah, you're looking at a very fragile player. Rashad White, I struggle with him. Kenneth Walker, I don't mind Kenneth Walker. Kamara, I think I've drafted him maybe once, and it's not because I'm completely down on him. I think he can be a PPR scam, but it's also like I want Xavier Worthy, I want Chris Godwin, I want Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze. So yeah, Aaron Jones, not somebody I enjoy drafting this year. I like James Conner. I'm taking James Conner. Raheem Mostert occasionally. And then, yeah, like, I mean, DeAndre Swift's just not a click for me. More quarterbacks going off the billboard. Rashad Bateman does go to Adam at the 2 spot with Lamar and Andrews, completely fine. Team 12 on Henry. Let's see. How much Warren Najee do you have so far? 33% Warren, 24% Najee here across 74 milli. So I was looking at my combined drafts across all platforms today, which is kind of just edging around the 300. And I'm at 27% Jalen Warren. And I think I'm at about 7% Najee. I might be slightly wrong on that. For me, I was taking Warren aggressively before he flipped Najee. But really, I just don't mind either of them. I think, particularly on the underdog streams on Monday night with Tyler, we've made a few 0 RB builds where Najee's been our first running back, and I've liked it a lot more than I expected to. So let's see what we've got going on here. Completely done at tight end. Did say I wanted to get more into these running backs. Nobody who I've drafted an awful lot of here. Wide receiver is probably something that we should be paying more attention to right now. Let's go Jermaine Burton. We need some rookies on this team. Right, we're on to the lottery of the turn. 28 seconds. Who's he going with? Anyone gets a correct guess? Remember, I will send you $20 tonight. Absolutely. Love to hear it. Elijah Mitchell for Team 12. Yep. Will work. Cooling off Warren after the hammy in my 33%. But yeah. I mean, yeah, I've definitely taken a few other running backs in that range. That range in general shifted quite a bit with Jonathan Brooks starting to fall. Well, we've got Tyler Conklin. Oh, come on, guys. He's sticking to ADP now. It's been a while since we've had something a bit more. Bo Nix went off the board ages ago, Paul. Come on. Fix up, look sharp. So yeah, we've definitely, I think, let's have a look at ADP. I wouldn't be surprised if you took Sam Darnold for a 4th quarterback, but maybe it's Ricky Pearsall, maybe it's like one of these running backs instead. Russell Wilson. Kamani Vidal I would have taken if he'd made it to me, but instead, look, let my misery be part of the ship chasing misery. I believe Jalen McMillan is the producer role, the clip player this year, and I don't see any problem with reaching at this point. Baker Mayfield triple stacked possibly is a bit overkill for this tournament, and I'm just kind of leaning into what I usually do. But yeah, this draft kicking off soon. This draft definitely kicked off. Like, so let's recap our friend out of the 12 slot. CJ Stroud, Derrick Henry, Stephon Diggs, Jalen Hurts, David Montgomery, David Njoku, Joe Burrow, Demarcus Robinson as wide receiver 2, Curtis Samuel, Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, because any chance you get to pair those 2 reliable running backs at this point in their career together, got to do it. Tyler Lockett, TJ Hawkinson, Darnell Mooney, Tyler Conklin, and Russell Wilson as the 4th quarterback. Maybe we get another tight end. Maybe we can get to a 5-5-5. I don't think I've ever seen a 5-5-5 before. That'd be fun. Yes. Chat approving of McMillions. Love to hear it. Yeah, I think it's a good one. I mean, we're already kind of saying that Chris Godwin can be the better pick than Mike Evans here. So why not say, okay, if touch wood, nothing bad happens to Mike Evans, but he misses a little bit of time, then Jalen McMillan can absolutely smash. So I think that's a fun one to have in there. Team of a one, Maz, who I know jumped in and is on Twitter. I'm not sure if Maz is in the chat with us. And Justin Fields, Bo Nix, Geno Smith. That is the late round quarterback trio this year. He does have DK stacked with Geno, Bo Nix, Skinny, possibly Skinny, yeah. But then Justin Fields and taking Justice Hill after that. A lot of J's. Otherwise, yeah, nothing too crazy. A lot of 2 QB builds, a lot of 3 QB builds. I mean, it's going to be when this lunatic on the turn's doing this. That might be the worst draft I've seen yet. Well, yeah, let me find one on Twitter from yesterday that I was in because come on. There was definitely an elite one which I was in yesterday that made me I got a lot of value in it, but it also was pretty disgusting at the same time. There we go. Right, I'll pull that one up after we get around this turn. $11% McMillan here, 26% Godwin, 15% Evans. Daniel going in on the Bucks, love it. I'm getting sniped on Darnold. Yeah, Darnold's one of those players where when the JJ McCarthy injury hit, I didn't really want to put him where I did, but it was like, well, let's just put him exactly where JJ McCarthy was. It seems like that's going to make sense. We're sitting on a 2-4-7-3 build. Quarterback is drying up. Nothing really standing out from that perspective. The main ones, let's take Tyrone Tracy. I think that he could be a good bit of closing line value. But yeah, otherwise, there wasn't anything standing out there. 5 running backs. If this had been a 3 quarterback build, I would have stopped there. But I think with 2, we can push this on a bit further. Here comes our friend on the 12. Rory, if it's the 4th attempt, you ain't getting $20 out of me. Yeah, I've seen Donald go in some wild spots. Minshew? Did Minshew go off the board already? No, he didn't. Cam Akers. 17th round, Cam Akers. Correlating. I mean, look, let's give him his dues. Stacked with CJ Stroud, Derrick Henry, Stephon Diggs. I mean, that's direct leverage against me. Now the team on the 12 spot is coming for me. Cam Akers only succeeds if Joe Mixon fails. Cam Akers apparently looking fairly reasonable in training camp. Zay Jones, a player who's not looking reasonable in training camp. And then Tim Patrick goes. That feels about fair on Tim Patrick. Let's be done at the running back position and take some Will Shipley, one of my most rostered guys, and definitely Colm from Rotoviz pushed me onto Will Shipley. And then looking at Rich's rookie guide, I have seen enough to be like, yes, Will Shipley can do a good bit for us in fantasy, particularly as Saquon Barkley's already having load management in training camp. So let me swap screens here and show you this team from last night. So this team, yeah, I started Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, which was quite nice. Olave in the 3rd, Devonta Smith 4th, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Christian Kirk, Anthony Richardson in the 8th. The team over here who took Saquon Barkley at the 104, Cortland Sutton at the 209, Bo Nix, Jordan Addison, George Kittle, Jaleel McLaughlin, Brock Purdy, Marvin Mims. They did go on to take Tim Patrick the round after that, and then they took Jerry Jeudy the round after that. So they were really just all in on the Broncos. Let's make sure we get this screen back to the right one before I start furiously clicking on a screenshot. Yeah. The J is for jail. I mean, the guy lives by his own rules. I mean, look, Was it Fareed who won 3 million on Underdog last year? Said live a little. This guy's living a little for $100 for 40 minutes entertainment. What else would you guys rather spend $100 on for 40 minutes apart from, let's leave the sex stuff out of it, but $100 40 minutes outside of best ball, what are you spending it on? Yeah, Gainwell is trash and Sirianni does seem to love him, but I think the fact that he's playing in preseason this year when last year they rested him through preseason, it's kind of indicative that it's not as clear cut between him and Gainwell as it might have appeared to be at points. So yeah, I'm definitely carrying on with the Gainwell exposure. Drake May goes off the board to our friend Adam out of the 2 spot. Lamar, Justin Herbert, and Drake May. So Justin Herbert will be the active quarterback in week 14 for him. I think that's the right way to play that, Drake May was falling there. I think Drake May is going to be the starter. Everything kind of leaning towards it. I had a guy in my league drafted all Green Bay. It was great. Yeah, I think in the JTT Cup last year, somebody drafted pretty much all Chiefs players. Tyler would definitely not leave the sex stuff out of it. Is the 12 spots shares? Let me know. I pay Tyler $100 to hit the nut button for 40 minutes. Yeah, Tyler, where are you, man? Would have enjoyed this one. Only looking at wide receivers to round this out. And the man, Jordan Whittington. Puka Nacua falls to us, which works perfectly for this lineup. The idea that if Cooper Kupp doesn't pay off his ADP, as I suggested earlier, then maybe Jordan Whittington smashes. Where are we going? We've got these 2 last picks here for our jailbird. Cam Akers, Zay Jones in the last 2 rounds. I have no idea where we're going here. We could be talking retired players. Like, who's still in the player pool? Let's scroll all the way down. I mean, Gardner Minshew's still there. Rashad Penny. Oh, Kendre Miller goes. Okay. We've got Chase Edmonds, Zach Wilson, Chris Evans out for the year, Deontay Harty, punt returner. One last time. And Jefferson Brady, Fournette, Antonio Brown. I would love to see it. Michael Thomas, Jalen Naylor. Oh, Troy Franklin. I mean, you're getting good closing line value there against where he was going for a decent chunk of the offseason. It's going to be my guy, Josh Reynolds, to give us that correlation with Jermaine Burton. Look, the Josh Reynolds play, I've been drafting Josh Reynolds in the 20th round all draft season. I'm not pretending that he's anything of a special player, but he's a big-bodied wide receiver. We've heard Sean Payton talk a number of times this offseason about how much he loves big-bodied wide receivers. Josh Reynolds, 6'3", 210 pounds. And I think much as the Tim Patrick story is a feel-good one, and I think he can have a nice season, after 2 season-ending injuries back-to-back, I'm not sure we see him out there a huge amount week to week, and Josh Reynolds can be the good veteran alongside Courtland Sutton, so I'm happy with that one. Let's recap it, and then, well, no. Let's start with Noah J. Bird, because Noah J. Bird, without you, this draft stream would not have been anywhere near as fun as it's been. So let me just sort my screens around, because this one, it deserves to be given proper attention. So, out of the 12 spot, we had CJ Stroud go over 112, paired with Derrick Henry for that sweet week 17 correlation, adding in Stephon Diggs for the same mindset. Then Jalen Hurts at the 401, David Montgomery, David Njoku, Joe Burrow, DeMarcus Robinson, Curtis Samuel, Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, Tyler Lockett, TJ Hawkinson. Round 14, time to woke up, took Darnell Mooney at ADP, Tyler Conklin, Russell Wilson a bit ahead of ADP, and then fell back asleep. It was time for Cam Akers, Zay Jones, woke up again, that kind of quick twitch. Whoa, 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 whoa. Where am I? Kendre Miller in the 19th round and Troy Franklin. Hey, it's not my money. Let me know which teams you were in the chat so that I can make sure I take a look at them. So I had out of a 10 spot, Puka Nacua, Drake London, Isaiah Pacheco, Zay Flowers, Joe Mixon, Chris Godwin, Hollywood Brown, Jalen Warren, Brian Robinson Jr., Dallas Goedert, Matthew Stafford, Baker Mayfield, Taysom Hill, Cade Otton, Jermaine Burton, Jalen McMillan, Tyron Tracy, Will Shipley, Jordan Whittington, and Josh Reynolds. So, yeah, I feel pretty good about this one. I think the one spot where maybe I would have done something differently is to go 3-6-8-3 and just push for advance rate above all else in this competition. Like, if you can get through this one and then you're playing in the 8-team week 15, 18 week 16, then that's a real good chance to progress out of there. But I feel pretty good about this. I mean, I'm relying on 2 veterans with secure roles at quarterback. The tight end room, it could have holes, but it could also be fairly good. They're all on different bye weeks, which is nice. The running back room is good, mainly my guys, and then Joe Mixon thrown in. Wide receiver, didn't want to take Hollywood Brown, but it just felt like the cliff edge was there. It was either him or Christian Watson, or maybe I should have taken Demarcus Robinson. The rookies down here, feel really pleased with this run of like 5 rookies. I think there's lots of upside in this one. Sam out of the 8 spot. Jamar Chase, Jahmyr Gibbs, Malik Neighbors. Love that start. Sam Laporta feels like good value in the 4th. Christian Kirk, Kenneth Walker, Brian Thomas Jr., Najee Harris, Jordan Addison. Trevor Lawrence stacked with Brian Thomas and Christian Kirk. Love that. Jerome Ford, Jerry Jeudy, Zach Charbonnet, Josh Downs, Wan'Dale Robinson. Daniel Jones stacked with Wan'Dale Robinson. Got that indie bring back on Josh Downs as well. Colby Parkinson, Jordan Mason, Cleve Raymond, and then 20th round Gardner Minshew. Like 20th round Gardner Minshew feels like a fair bet in this one. Is it too late for more low entry contests from DK? I need more. No, there's more coming. I can tell you categorically there is more coming. I would expect another $3 one this weekend. I would expect another $10 5 max. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's another $9 3 max, as well as maybe another 20 max at a slightly different stakes as well. Adam's team out of a 102, really like this 3-6-8-3. The first 5 picks, all week 17 correlations with each other. Then Roma Dunze, Keon Coleman, Ramondre, Javonte, Jonathan Brooks, Gus Edwards, Justin Herbert stacked with Gus, Jalen Polk, Ray Davis, Rashad Bateman, Tank Bigsby, Juwan Johnson, Zach Ertz, Drake May, Nelson Aguilar. Maybe gets a little bit dusty towards the end there with Juwan Johnson, Zach Ertz, but I think those are sensible plays within that structure, and I don't hate it. Maybe I could have taught myself into a tight end slightly more youthful than Zach Ertz, but maybe Zach Ertz gives you a couple of spike weeks early on and helps round out. Yeah, it'll happen. The $3 contests are currently paying the rake for the Millie Maker. That's what we see on them. I mean, the rake on the $3 contests is almost 20%. So even though I'm entering all of them, that's why they keep rolling them out, because they're ready to take the loss on the Millie Maker and they'll just keep going through those. Steven saying, please update us on Team 12 season progress. If Team 12 advances out of this group and I don't, then yeah, I mean, time to delete my account. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with my squad. As you say, 3-6-8-3 for advance is never a bad way to go. Appreciate you guys all hanging out tonight. This draft, it was a lot of fun. Thanks to the team out of a 12 spot. We've got loads coming, but before you go, after the stream ends, refresh the page and leave a comment. Every single comment you leave on all our videos this offseason, leave as many comments, as many videos as you like, gets you an entry into our subscriber giveaway. $100 cold hard cash, 12 months premium access to all our premium content, $25 to the merch store. Loads to be had. All you got to do, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, really helps us out. Keep your eyes on the channel over the next few days. Like I said, video with late round QB JJ Zacharyson will be out tomorrow, talking of his 3 favorite draft picks. Andrew Erickson of Fantasy Pros as well, and then Pete Overzet next week. lots of redraft content, some plans for a big end of term best ball party a week on Sunday. Truly appreciate all you guys, and I will catch you soon.